This is Mechdusa, and this is the Exo-Mechdusa. The newest Calamity 1.4.4 port has added some completely unfair boss AI to the Get Fixed Boi seed. So for today's video, we'll be checking out some of the most insane features, beginning with secret bosses. Supreme Cirrus is the ultimate challenge of Calamity Zenith seed. And just let me say, this boss is quite literally impossible. In order to summon her, you need to use Fabsul's vodka at the altar of the Accursed. This will make the background purple instead of red, and the brimstone hearts, yeah, they're now all dragon follies with over 700,000 HP each. This took me literally 3 minutes of real time to slay all these goddamn birds and get her into the second phase, in which you'll use the Photon Ripper with some extremely balanced tracking. When reaching 45% HP, usually Supreme Calamitas will call in her brothers. However, this time, Supreme Alchemist Cirrus instead spawns 2 baby Devourer of Gods and also warping your gravity. This is probably her easiest phase. However, this quickly changes at 30% HP, where the Brimstone monster, smiley faces, come in. And yeah, this is where the fight becomes even more impossible than before. Empress of Lights, Providence, Slimes all spawn in, making Cirrus invulnerable until all these bosses have been slain. Her final bullet hell phase is similar to the first, with the Photon Ripper, more Dragon Follies. The full fight with cheats enabled took me 9 whole minutes. A truly perfectly balanced boss with no flaws whatsoever. Apart from the absolute random array of items dropped, the Alicorn On A Stick is probably the most broken item in the game, on a target dummy. But other than that, it deals a small percentage of damage every frame in contact with an enemy. And yes, it even works with NPCs as well. Moving on to XP Infinity Hekate, aka Exo-Mechdusa, this is relatively more tame than Cirrus. Instead of contacting Dradon normally using the codebreaker, you also need to place a blood sample into the interface. And indicated by this swirly evoke button, it's time to challenge Exo-Mechdusa. Whereas not blatantly impossible like Cirrus, don't let the lack of projectile vomit and me being in god mode fool you. For example, Artemis's dash attack one-shots any player, and every projectile will basically kill you in 2 hits. Let's say you manage to untangle Mechdusa and kill the spine, Ares will begin spamming the laser spin attack, and it will be sure to finish you off. One of the amazing rewards if you manage to defeat this is the Pot of Pain. Yeah, amazing stuff from the Calamity dev team. The final secret boss is the re-edition of the LORDE, using the no boss summon that is dropped from boulders in the jungle temple. What makes this boss a complete joke is every single frame, its AI will change to mimic another enemy AI. Any damage you also receive from this boss will disable all of the player's equipment, which means it's basically GG. Another funny feature is that at low HP, the LORDE is literally unkillable for an extended period of time. Yeah, I ain't got time for that. He'll reward you with a miniature LORDE Lite pet if you manage to slay this monstrosity. So we've covered every secret boss in this seed, so what other wacky features can you expect here? Well, the Rod of Discord is kinda unusable in this seed, as Chaos State will attract the Primordial Wyrm regardless if you're in the Abyss or not. And speaking of the Abyss, it's completely upside down. The Nurse, which many players including myself has exploited during vanilla runs of this seed, well, she will now cast Doom on the player, so yeah, just avoid this NPC at all costs. What you can do, however, is use the Nurse to completely explode Calamity bosses. Yeah, this is definitely getting patched soon. And speaking of bosses, in the Get Fixed Boi seed, bosses will drop random items that completely break progression order and can make this seed somewhat playable. Like the Eater of Worlds dropping a light disc for every segment you kill, the Perforators giving you over 9,000 blood fins, or the Brimstone Elemental dropping the Heart of the Elements. You get the idea. A completely broken progression system for a broken seed. And expanding on this, some Calamity weapons now have special Easter eggs. The Yarum's Crystal now becomes the Yarum's Crystal, which just drops dynamite. The Spike Crag Staff becomes super buffed after defeating Providence. The Halibut Cannon being absolutely useless. The ZHPC having damage scaling on bosses. And the reworked melee hammers having some pretty funny sound effects. I'm sure there are even more Easter eggs, so comment them down below and goodbye.